All right, we've got, I'm going to use 2 mixing cups for this. And let me try to make sure this shot is good as we're getting ready. Okay, so the initial mixing cup is going to be for my base resin. That's where I'm going to start really mixing my colors. So I'm going to use the gray white that's included in your kit. It'll be labeled gray white. So I know this tub is gray, so I'm going to start with that. Now I will show you here. Just put a little drop there. I will show you kind of what that gray looks like against this tub, which is more gray than usual. And you always want to have your blow dryer ready. Okay, so you see how that's still, just see, it's still a little too white. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to darken that down. So that's the grayest gray white that we have, and this color is a little too gray for that. So we're going to have to darken that down. We're going to show you how we do that. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just start with, I'm going to start with about ½ an ounce. And you want to start with ½ an ounce of product initially to try to achieve the color you're looking for without wasting too much product. Because if you start really building up the product and you get like up to like 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, it's going to take more product to move the color, and then you do run the risk of running out of color. So in our instructions, this is what we mean by mix ½ an ounce, try to achieve that color, and then work your way up to 1 ounce or more. On this specific repair, we're probably going to need at least 1 ounce, and that's what we'll shoot for 1 ounce on this. So so initially I've got ½ an ounce of gray white in this cup. The second cup, this is going to be to kind of dilute your dye. So in the instructions, you see we talk about using a separate cup, putting your dye in there, mixing it, and then applying your dye like that. That's if you put 1 drop of black into ½ a drop of that, it's gonna move it so much. You will way overshoot what you're trying to do. So I am gonna take my gray base, my gray white here, and I'm going to do about, just about ½ an ounce of that in the other cup. Now, I'm going to take my black dye, and I am going to add, just a drop, maybe two drops. 1 drop would probably do it, but 2 drops will be more than enough. And I'm going to stir this up. So you see what we got there? We got the 2 drops. I'm going to stir that up, get it real mixed in there. Be sure to get it off your walls, and you do want to wipe off your stick before you go to test the color, because that will you're liable to have a little hint of black dye in there, and you won't get a good color test there. So stir this up until it's all one good solid color, and you'll see what we made. It got very gray as compared to our white gray white, and that's very gray. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to add just a little bit, not much. So that's how you break down 1 full drop. Because if I added a full drop to that, it would be way too dark. So we do that, and then just go ahead and mix up your ½ ounce, and we'll see where we get. Now I do want to go ahead and clean off my stir stick here, because it's liable to have a lot of that real dark gray on there, and that'd just be messing with me the whole time I'm trying to match this color. So actually clean it off, start fresh here. See, I just wipe that off there. Okay, so we got that all cleaned off. Okay, so put that in there. We're stirred it around. Okay, so I don't see any of that dark gray left over. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take just a drop of that, put it on the surface, and then we're going to wipe it around. Now we're getting closer. Go ahead and try to show you that one. You can kind of see it now. It's a hint gray. Okay. So being a hint gray, I want to lighten that up a little bit. But just remember, gray always counteracts gold. And this tub, as you're matching it and you start to see those grays, you can start to see maybe it's got like a hint of like an almond to it. So I'm actually going to use some gold white to kind of knock down that gray a little bit, lighten it up. I'm going to use just a little bit of this. I'll probably put about a 1/4 ounce in there. About a 1/4 ounce of gold white. Should lighten it up, should knock down that gray some. And then I'm just stirring it up again. Just wipe off your stick and then stir a second time. That'll kind of ensure that you don't have any of the original first color in there. So, okay, so we'll try that. That's after we added a little bit of gold white. I'll start to see where we're getting here. Now, that lightened it up. Probably lightened it up just a little too much. You'll see that third one over there on the far side. Now it's more white than we need it. So it definitely knocked down the gray, but it's not quite where we want it. So I'm gonna take this gray. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. And this is what we mean. You gotta just kind of work your way to the color that you're trying to get. So I added a little bit more gray. I've probably got 3/4 of an ounce at this point, and just stirring that up. And we'll do one there. See where this got us. Okay, we're getting close again. So you see how we kind of darken that down. Now this tub, as I'm matching this tub, it's hard to tell. Let's see. Okay, so you got the lightest of the light ones. They're hard to tell in the shadows there. This is the last one I did. You can kind of see it's got a little gray. So here's what I end up having to do. Is actually, almond actually has more of a gold base. So I'm gonna add just a hint of almond. It's gonna keep the color dark enough, but it's gonna knock down some of that gray. And I mean, I am just adding, I probably added, way less than a 1/4, way less than a 1/4 of an ounce. So not much almond at all. I mean, there's probably 10 drops of almond, maybe 15. So anyway, kind of giving it a little bit of that almond color that it has, and it's real subtle. You don't see it until you actually start matching it. So we'll do that one. Okay, now we're getting super close. see here. Sometimes it's hard to see on here. You definitely see it better when you're in real life. So let's see, we got the very, when we lightened it up, we got the gray. That's the original. That's when I went back to gray a little bit. This is after I added some almond. So we're definitely getting close there. Now, if you look close, it's going to be a little dark and it's just a hint gray. So that almond is counteracting the gray, but I didn't use much. So I'm going to actually use just a touch more almond to kind of continue to knock down that gray. And watch how much almond I put in here. I really don't put much in here. It's like that much. I mean, it's hardly even moving. It's not even probably a quarter ounce. Anyway, little by little, that's the key. You got to be patient on this. You won't be bouncing around. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of product, and then you're going to get you might run out of product, and then you won't be happy. And we want you happy. And so, anyway, take your time on this. Add little bits. Just remember, start out shooting for about a ½ ounce. That's going to be your best bet to avoid running out of product when you're matching your color. Okay. Pretty close here. Okay, so we'll do another overview. Okay, so you got the white, the gray, the first one. Then I went back to gray, and then I added some almond. Now this was the last one right here. Okay, so we're getting real close. I mean, that is like almost spot on. In fact, you'd probably get away with that if you were spraying that. It's gonna fade. You're not gonna have the hard lines that you have here when you're doing your swatches. So that's close, but I can get closer. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Now, all right, we'll continue in that direction here. Okay, so we added almond last time. This one, it's still just a hint dark. And I mean just a hint. So I'm gonna take, and it's got maybe just a touch of gold to it. So I'm going to take my gold white, and I'm not going to be using much here. This is literally all I'm going to be using is like that much. And we're going to hopefully just light that up just a touch. Now this, as you get close, this is where you kind of got to be careful, because if you try to perfect it and then you go over and you go in the other direction and and you're getting away from where you need to be, then you keep bouncing back and forth. So you got to be real careful. As you get real close, you want to take your time, really take your time, and just, it's better to go slow than just be bouncing all over the place. You'll run out of product. You'll be frustrated, and so that would probably not go well for you. Okay, getting closer. This is what we're talking about. You just got to keep going. And our last swatch was right here. It's just a hint dark. So we're gonna do it again. Just taking our time. It seems like a long video, but just hopefully we're giving you good information. I'm gonna take the gold white one more time, just because it's got a hint of gray to it. Now just always remember, gray and gold counteract. So all I'm doing is just a little bit, and that's about it right there. Not much, you see? And I'm probably approaching about an ounce right now. So this is how you want to mix your color. Start with that 1/2 ounce of your base, and then add your color slowly. You want to work up to an ounce, and then once you find the color, you start to understand your ratio and how the color's moving. Then it's a lot easier to kind of build your way up in a controlled manner up to the color that you actually want. Okay. And this is how you got to do it. Sometimes it takes, 10 swatches, especially on tubs where you got to use the dye. Those are especially difficult. Okay, those colors, when you have to use the dye, those are especially difficult. So take your time, but remember, we diluted our 1 drop. There was 2 drops in that. Started out as gray solution, added 2 drops, and then that was how I use a little bit of that to darken down my real solution. And then I've got, this is the first one, the second one when I added the gray, the third one when I added the gold white. And you see how I bounced back and forth. That first one was like kind of too gray. I lightened it up too light. And then I came back after I added a bit more gray and brought it back to gray again. And then I added some almond right there. And then I added just a touch more almond, and I think actually maybe some gold white there to lighten it up. And then the final, what I'm going to say is the final one is right here. Yeah, you see the one with the hair in it, unfortunately. I would say stop there. You can try to lighten that up just a touch. And I'll go ahead and do that just to see if we can get just a hint closer. But, when you spray it, you're not going to have those hard lines. So I'm just going to use just a touch more of this gold white, and I'm gonna just a little bit, not much. Okay, so that's how I'm adding my color. See, that's what you want to do. You want to add your color like that. Anytime you're matching color, just take your time, match the color, let your product set up. If you're doing the short strain fiberglass, you got like 30 minutes on that. So, let that set up. Take your time matching the color. Then by the time you get your color matched and your product mixed, you'll probably be in a good position to continue to go ahead and sand down your repair, and then you'll be really on the home stretch. That's always my favorite part. Once I get the color matched, I know I'm on the downhill slope here. So anyway, this will probably be my last swatch. Because I know I'm bouncing around, and I guess if you're going to be a shade one way or another, it's probably better to be a shade light than a shade dark. If you're a shade light, it won't look quite as bad, but a shade dark will look almost dirty. So let's see, that's the last one. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see. Yeah, I could try to darken that down. If you're sitting here in real life and you're looking at it, it's maybe a hint gray. All right, we'll just go one more. I'm gonna add just a touch of almond, and just a touch. And this is just to knock down some of that gray, because the almond has actually got some gold to it. And that was not much, probably, I don't know, 10 drops or so. So anyway, we're mixing her up here. Try to do a nice big swatch so you can really see what I've got. I'm going to go on the other end because I'm running out of room down here. Go down there. Alright, you'll see this stuff dries on your finger pretty quick, so just make sure it's dry before you start using the same finger for another swatch, because that would be really annoying. Okay, so this is the treacherous part, so you just keep bouncing around. This one's not bad. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place here, but not bad. I would say at this point it probably has a hint of gold to it. So you know, we've got time. I'm gonna keep working on this. I probably bounced a little too far on that one by adding the almond. Got a little darker than I wanted to. So this one I'm actually gonna take my gray white again, and I'm gonna do just a little bit of gray white because that has like almost a hint of gold to it now. So I'm gonna take, you know, a little bit of gray white. It'll lighten it up. It's gonna counteract that gold, and hopefully we'll be even closer than we've been before. Now I would say the last two that I did on the other end of this swatch strip would have been close enough, especially after you spray it. You'll see it's gonna feather out with the sprayer. You're not gonna have the hard lines that you have here on these swatches. So just bear that in mind. If you get super close to your color and you're like, I think it's pretty close, you can feather it out when you're spraying it, which will, I mean, it'll make it not noticeable, especially as close as we were. But let's see how we did here. I feel pretty good about this one. In fact, I feel really good about this one. Alright, and at some point you do have to call it. You gotta call it and just say, okay, that's where I'm taking. And let's see. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, got that one. That's the one I added some almond to kind of darken it down a little bit. But then that right there, I'm going with that. It's gonna look good. We'll show you when we're done. Okay, so that's matching color. That's a difficult color match. We had to use the black dye, which is uncommon, but if you do have like a darker tub, if it's a grayish tub, which this one is, that's the technique that you use. Now I probably have, I have about one ounce of product here. You know, there's 1 ounce of product. So that's, you know, that was my target. I hit it. I don't want to mess with it anymore because then I'll just keep bouncing around and then I'll have to do that again. But I feel good about where we're at. So leave a comment if you have any questions about it. Leave a comment if you want to see another video, maybe a different tub color. You want to see us match another color. We will do that. We'll try to keep pumping out these videos and just really just give you a ton of videos to watch. So hopefully you'll just have a lot of good information and you can understand what you're trying to do. Comment, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Our kits will include all these products that you need to make this match. Just take your time. Like on this one, we did at least nine swatches. So yeah, took us 24 minutes. I'd still have about 50, probably another 6 minutes or so for my short strand fiberglass to set up, and then I'd be ready to sand that down. So I'm right on target. I get my color mixed and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Message us if you have any questions. Peace.